Greetings and welcome back to another Our Walking Christ live stream. And today, live stream I just said, wow. Today we are talking about, once again, Halloween being canceled. And is this a good thing or a bad thing? Who knows? Because Christians have always taken like a 50-50 approach to Halloween. Some churches do trunk or treat and some churches say it's of the devil. And so where do we start with getting into all of this? Well, I always got to battle the crazy nonsense going on inside of PC culture, and that's where we're going to find ourselves today. Now, some of the Halloween stuff, I'm not going to go into all of the details and origins. I did write a book on holidays. It is called Happy Holidays. You can find it anywhere where you can find books. Online. You can also find it at ourwalkingchrist.com/books/happy-holidays. So if you find this book, there are links down here with all the different places you can pick up a copy in softback, ebook, or audio book editions. So you can have a look over there at Our Walking Christ. Click on the books tab and find Happy Holidays to find that information. So with that, we actually want to dive into just a little bit about let me just give you a brief summary of the past history of Halloween. And not to sound like the Baptist preacher who signed his own Bible, but in, 11 years ago, I wrote this article called Happy Halloween, which was actually an updated version of another article I wrote longer ago. And here I really talk a lot about the origins of it. We talk about the Samhain. We talk about the Druid gods of death. We talk about Satanism in here. A lot of that in the context of modern Halloween is absolutely nonsense. Pretty much all of that is kind of, none of that has any tie whatsoever to the current tradition of Halloween, which actually came from the Irish during the potato famines. I detail the origins in fine detail. The real reason America did not celebrate Halloween is because the American colonies were originally established by Puritans, and the Puritans were separatists from the prevailing church of the day, which would have been Catholicism. And every holiday which had anything to do with the Catholic faith, they rejected as being evil. Even Christmas in Massachusetts, before the country was founded in Massachusetts, it was a 5-shilling fine if you were caught celebrating Christmas. All right, I detail that as well in Happy Holidays. But really the reason that Halloween has been so, in the Protestant view and the American view, the early origins of Halloween had nothing to do with the Celtic god of death or Druids or Samhain or any of this. It had to do with the fact that Halloween is actually a part of a Catholic tradition where you had All Saints Day, and prior to that you had All Hallows Eve, and it was something that the Catholic Church participated in, and for that reason it was cast off as demonic, because the Puritans cast off everything in the Catholic Church as demonic, and maybe they weren't super far off, who knows. Okay. But that's just a little bit of some of the origins, looking in and talking to some Satanists for the review of the book. And, Halloween isn't a day for them. Ultimately, what Halloween is in America particularly, it is just a cultural day. It is a day, it is like every other holiday. It is simply consumerist. It is a holiday where people just spend a lot of money and have a lot of fun and use as another excuse to have a party. No big deal, in all honesty. Now, I would, of course, avoid the darker end of things. I wouldn't do things that are more evil or more satanic looking necessarily, but I don't have a problem with a church holding a trunk or treat service. And I detail in this article here, and the section here about should Christians engage in Halloween. And this was a neat question because what I did in this article here is I highlighted 3 churches or three types of responses the churches gave in the town I lived in, which was out west. And some of the churches, there was a community day for Halloween. It was like the Saturday before the official Halloween. All the businesses on the old main street would open up and hand out candy, and there were games and other things for children downtown on that day. And it was a day that the community looked forward to. Well, some churches wanted nothing to do with it, and they completely closed their doors, and it was just dark, and you knocked on the door, nobody would come, and that was it. Well, one of the churches, one of the more charismatic type churches, they held a haunted house that looked like the scene from any bloody horror film. It was shown up in rotten blood. It was loud and screamy and terrifying to some of the little children. And then one of the churches in town, they dressed up in appropriate, like, Bible-type costumes. They handed out tracts and healthier snacks to the kids, like granola bars with tracts. They had church members going around talking to the different people. The people in the church who were more geared towards evangelism would go out into the streets, talk, engage with people. The ones who were more introverted would stay at the church and hand things out. So these are the three responses. The first church where they just didn't do anything, I think that's an appropriate response to Halloween. You just say, not for us. We're going to close down for the day. I don't have a problem with that. The church that handed out tracts and healthy snacks and engaged with the culture, that's what we're supposed to do as Christians. Not that the church that didn't do anything were disobeying God. They followed their own conscience, but they were using the time, spreading the word in an appropriate and godly manner. The last church where they had this bloody haunted house, this is a church that was assimilating with culture and participating in probably the more evil and more wicked portions of Halloween. And that's something we don't want to do. And so for this reason, Halloween among Christians has always been a touchy subject. Some of them say it needs to be completely abandoned. Some people think that it's just whatever it happens to be, no big deal. And so with that, my personal take is do what you want. I don't turn people off from celebrating Halloween if they want to do. But the problem is that the woke, crazy, PC culture takes over everything, and now they're trying to ban Halloween this year. So from Breitbart, fears that Halloween might offend certain children have caused several elementary schools to cancel this holiday this year. Okay, crap like this going on is going to cause me to jump on in and start saying, no, everybody, let's celebrate Halloween as Christians, because my Lord. So we're going to talk about this in detail, and we're going to do some Christian analysis as well. So in Seattle, Washington, Benjamin Franklin Day Elementary School, man, they need to change that name, canceled Halloween this year because the racial equity team believes it, quote, marginalizes students of color who do not celebrate the holiday, end quote. What are you talking about? Nobody's talking about marginalizing the Jehovah's Witnesses who don't celebrate it, or the fundamental Christians who don't celebrate it. Nobody's talking about those guys. And they're like, oh, yeah, shut up. It's just for us. Leave it alone. You know what? If there's people out there that don't want to participate, fine. Don't make them participate. I'm okay with that. That's the same thing you've been telling us as Christians for a long time. Maybe we need to stand up and give you a little bit of your own medicine back. In a statement to KIF, a Seattle Public Schools spokeswoman said that the school's pumpkin parade makes, quote, students of color, end quote, feel isolated, telling parents and students to partake in Halloween festivities everywhere. Quote, there are numerous community and neighborhood events where students and families who wish to can celebrate Halloween, end quote, the spokesman said. Quote, historically, the pumpkin parade marginalizes students of color who do not celebrate the holiday, particularly those students who have requested to be isolated on campus while the event took place, end quote. I am sorry, you are making crap up. There might be a group of people who don't want to participate. There might be parents who do not want their kids to participate in it. But to say that this is going to be people of color, just to remind you guys, Savannah, Georgia is where the current idea of Halloween came from. Not exactly a white place. All right. Again, I detail that in Happy Holidays, how that came to be. In alliance with the SPS's unwavering commitment to students of color, especially African-American males, the staff is committed to supplanting the public parade with a more inclusive and educational opportunity during the school day. I just read prior to this, if I had read it like an hour earlier, I would have put it in the notes, like the celebration they just did in Kentucky that caused an investigation because high school boys were dressing in drag and giving lap dances to staff at the school. What? I kid you not, guys. I kid you not. In fact, you know what? I think I actually have that over on my desktop. So let me just go ahead and drop that article on in here for you. And you can kind of see it for yourself, because this is the type of stuff you just kind of got to see to believe for yourself. And so here is that. No, not the ad. Investigation underway after Kentucky high school hosts a very inclusive drag pageant featuring male teens in lingerie giving lap dances to staff. Okay, and here is actually the statement from the school. Due to having to start the stream, I only got a chance to read half of it, but basically it's like, yeah, we're disciplining people. We're going to put in a policy. We're going to put in a committee, blah, blah, blah. I have a question for you. Do you need a policy in place to tell the staff that it's inappropriate to have their students dressed in lingerie giving them lap dances? No. Any staff participating, you just fire them. Just out. You're done. And if they want to fight back, we're going to possibly press charges against you here for pedophilia, which will disqualify you from working in any school district because that's inappropriate. Holy moly. So, we need to get rid of the pumpkin parade where kids can dress up in costumes and I guess do PC, drag festivities instead, I guess. But I mean, come on. These guys should be all over Halloween. All these people can dress in drag without anybody questioning their sexuality. I mean, really. The spokeswoman made sure to emphasize that the Kufi pandemic did not contribute to the cancellation. Look at this. This looks inclusive. I mean, is this actually from this? Oh, this is from Monterey Park, California, because there's certainly a lack of diversity going on there. Anyway, when announcing this, the cancellation, Benjamin Franklin Day Elementary School said that the Halloween parade often creates situations, quote, where some students must be excluded for their beliefs, financial status, or life experience. Okay, let's talk about these. Beliefs. Completely concur. And that is probably not going to be people of color. That is probably going to be beliefs among pasty folks. Just saying, that's probably where it's going to be. Financial status. Okay, I came from a very poor family. You know what we did some Halloweens? Some Halloweens I went to my mother's makeup closet and I didn't dress in drag, but I used the makeup to make it look like I had a big bruise on my face, like I got into a fight. And then I threw on some ripped jeans and I threw some like coffee beans on my face and I went as a gang thug. Okay, it didn't cost anything and it was actually a very good costume. It looked great. You don't need a lot of money for this. I know in our consumerist world, maybe it's banned consumerism. And then the last is life experience. Third graders all have about the same life experience. I have no idea what you're talking about. Costume parties often become an uncomfortable event for many children, and they distract students from staff and from learning. The school said large events create challenges. You know what, guys? With what schools are teaching right now, I'm okay if they're distracted from their lessons. I'm fine with that. All right. Yeah, it kind of goes on and blah, blah, blah. You kind of get the point. So we're not going to belabor that any further. But what we would like to do is I want to dive in and have a look at some scripture. Because this is going to be a little bit more of an advanced thought. And I was thinking about this, actually talking with a friend last night about, is this something that, am I out of line with this part here? He's like, no, I don't think so. So understand this. Let's first go and have a look at 1 Corinthians 10, 23 and 33. But as we read this, I want you to be thinking antithesis, not principle. Antithesis, not principle. Okay, so All things are lawful, but not all things are profitable. All things are lawful, but not all things edify. Let no one seek his own good, but that of his neighbor. Eat anything that is sold in the meat market without asking questions for conscience sake, for the earth is the Lord's and all it contains. If one of the unbelievers invites you and you want to go, eat anything that is set before you without asking questions for conscience sake. But if anyone says to you, this meat is sacrificed to idols, then do not eat it. For this sake, the one who informed you, and for the conscience sake. I mean, not your own conscience, but the other man's. For why is my freedom judged by another man's conscience? If I partake with thankfulness, why am I slandered concerning that for which I give thanks? Whether then you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all in the glory of God. Give no offense either Jew or to Greeks or to the church of God, just as I also please all men in all things, not seeking my own profit, but the profit of many, so that they may be saved. I'm going to go ahead and keep those words on the screen here for a moment in case you need to refer back to them. But what I want to look at here is this is a principle of conscience. So, and the general principle, Halloween, if your conscience says it's evil, don't engage. If your conscience says it's just fine in a cultural activity, go ahead and engage. You're free to do so. But if somebody comes into you and says, hey, we're going to have a Halloween party and we're all going to dress as witches and we're going to practice a satanic covenant, then for conscience sake, you must avoid that one because it goes directly against the teachings of Scripture. But if someone's like, hey, we're going to have a Halloween party, come dress as something, please keep it family friendly. Hi, I'm okay with that. Because I got news. I lived in State College, and right about the time the whole culture became this coarse thing, about 15, 20 years ago or so, I'm driving down Viro Boulevard. If you were from State College, went to Penn State, you probably know where Viro Boulevard is. I'm driving down there on the way to do something. I can't remember. I think I lived down there and I was driving home or something. And this was the year that those Nether Region Oregon costumes started to arrive. And I'm driving down there, and this dude, this giant phallic organ, goes running across the street right in front of me. And I did have to slam on my brakes to avoid hitting this giant thong. Okay? Eggplant would have been everywhere. I'm telling you guys. And I'm just thinking, maybe I should just hit the gas and accept the punishment. Because I would love to see the headline. Man hits penis in car on Viro Boulevard. What? I'm telling you guys. Here's the point of all of this. If somebody says, hey, keep a good family-friendly costumes and whatever else, I'm okay with that. That's perfectly fine. If it's explicitly a party that's bad, you need to avoid that because the Scripture here tells you so. This is like saying, hey, this meat is sacrificed to idols. Hey, in this case, don't eat it. For the sake of the one who informed you and for conscience sake, not your own conscience, but the other man's. Why? He might be seeing what you do, how you respond. So when I say acting from the conscience, but from acting in conscience, but from the antithesis, this means in this case, as we start seeing CRT, woke agendas, crazy ideas with these equity terms being thrown around, we as Christians, we have got to push back against these things. We have got to push back because the CRT, which is based on Marxism, with the plans, the purposes of these people are directly and specifically attacking the Christian life. This is exactly when we need to hold fast to the Christian teaching. Okay? They are trying to cause a rise. They're trying to twist reality. But what our task is to proclaim the truth in love. Ephesians 4:14-16. As a result, we are no longer to be children, tossed here and there by waves and carried about by every wind of doctrine, by the trickery of men, by the craftiness and deceitful scheming. But speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in all aspects into him who is the head, even Christ, from whom the whole body, being fitted and held together by what every joint supplies, according to the proper working of each individual part, causing the growth of the body and building up of itself in love. We're going to go back to the beginning of this. This is why we are no longer to be children, tossed here and there by waves and carried about by every wind of doctrine, by the trickery of men, by the craftfulness and deceitful scheming. Okay, that is exactly what these people are doing. They're trying to carry us all about. They're trying to be trickery. They're trying to be deceitful. They're trying to cause problems in society that don't exist. Okay, they're trying to cause problems in society that don't exist. If you want to say, hey, we don't want to have festivities that are interfering, fine. If you want to say, not everybody has belief systems aligning, fine. But to sit down and say, we can't do Halloween because it's racist, you're insane. You are absolutely insane. And so I personally, I'm like, yeah, Halloween, I could take it or give it. I'm not going to tell anybody specifically to celebrate or specifically to abstain. But if your school district is trying to ban Halloween on the principles of wokeness, CRT, and systemic racism, you need to fight back. You need to fight back. Why? Because anything done in those terms is satanic opposition to the Christian life. If you want to celebrate the holiday, go for it. If the school wants to cancel it, so be it. But make sure to fight for canceling for valid reasons. That's my thought. And I don't have a lot more to say on this here, but this is an interesting one. And this is starting to get to the point in the world where we're getting some interesting, weird stuff going up. And in all reality, yeah, kind of crazy. Well, let's check in on our comments, and then I need to get out of here. Was it canceled last year? I mean, I think so. They're just trying to cancel it every single year. Why not? Some discussion on the horror movie trend genres. I don't know why. Seems to be born again Christian should definitely turn away. Yeah, the dark sides of Halloween, absolutely. Here now, it's just a dress-up day for fun. Well, in a way, yes. But it is problematic when you start going the wrong. Now, even before transgenders was a thing, I went as a female nurse once. I'll tell you that. I stuffed a bra and a little thingies hanging out and stuff like that. And it wasn't like, ooh, suppressing my inner girl. It was just, my mother was a nurse. We went to a friend's house. They happened to be having Halloween that day. I didn't have a costume. What can we do? Again, we're not spending money. Let me throw my mother's nursing uniform on and borrow my mother's friend's bra, as gross as that sounds, stuff it full of some socks, and we got a costume. I'm okay. I mean, it wasn't anything else, but, you know, I guess I went as a tranny once. So you can no longer cancel me. I'm a tranny. Deal with it. Let's see. Hard to visualize someone wanting to watch the demise of someone else. Yeah. Man in the Mask 3D had Alice Cooper singing "He's Back." Yeah. Exorcist was bad enough. Yeah. All right. Hello, Celeridge. Greetings. All right. In the Opera Lulu, you nearly have to cheer on Jack the Ripper. This means the opera is almost over. Oh boy. With the amounts of unnatural deaths in opera, you have to get 3 a day. Okay. No Christmas? You mean I can light my fire in the fireplace again? Hey, you know, some people. Type Xmas instead of Christmas. Yeah, it's probably just for the sake of being quick about it. Ask a child this question: why do you want to be a witch? Examine what their definition of witch. Ooh. Are you a child? I'm addressing innocence of a child who may some sort of idolize something they don't understand. Yeah, I think as one thing we need to do as Christians is if we are allowing our children to participate in Halloween, we need to teach them what is appropriate, what is inappropriate, what can you do, what can you not do, and things like that. These are all things you want to know. I once went to Smith's and bought 6 dozen eggs on Halloween. The cashier said he was going to make deviled eggs. I said, I'm mad at my neighbor who wouldn't give me any candy. Yeah. Let's see, wrapped in modern concepts. Let's see, Christians celebrate Resurrection Day. Easter is actually named after the non-existent goddess Esther. I'm not I don't remember off the top, but I'm not sure if that's actually correct or not. If I remember correctly, the origins of Easter are not that easy because the only history we have about this Esther was from one guy who seems to make up history to fit his thought. But I do detail it. I might have that holiday right. I don't remember off the top. I've written like 3 books or 4 books since that one, so I can't remember off the top. Well, anyway, guys, it is right about 9:30, and I still have about 4 hours of driving yet to do as I am traversing the country. So with that, guys, we will see you next time. We should be having a daily walk on Tuesday. The kitties are up front. I'm not going to tempt the kitties right now because they are up front, and I really actually have to get on the road. So sorry we're not tempting the kitties today. Kitties will be tempted next week, as I will be kind of in a stationary place next week for a little bit, I believe. So anyway, guys, we will see you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out, and catch you guys later.